On the way back now from taking Terry the Tramp home, or for wet passes for home, or 2 wet passes for home, after a few hours over at the apartment tonight. And I was dumbfounded to, and he was giving me directions to where he was going. I thought we were going back to the old Adobe for a while there, but really, we passed the Oakland Turnoff pretty quick. And we ended up out here in San Leandro, where I am now. And we eventually came to not just a middle-class neighborhood, but a very upper, we're just coming into San Leandro right now, very upper middle-class sort of posh Cadillac, tree-lined street sort of bit. And right in the middle of it, a real sort of television, TV city, why don't you buy my soap suds type thing. And here, right in the middle of this thing, is a house, got 5 cars parked in front of it, 1 big brown Cadillac, and about 6 chopped outlaw bikes. And here, by God, are the Hells Angels, all back in a wood-paneled sort of den with a fireplace at the end, and the girls lying around the floor in sleeping bags, and the whole works was almost unbelievable. It was like some kind of suburban cop-out for the great outlaws. Actually, we're getting close there to the nut of the thing, and that's a situation we're already seeing in San Francisco. I want to get the story written before these guys really become obvious sellouts to the old, holy shit, where am I? There we go. I mean, here are the wildest dudes and the end of all outlawism lying around a wood-paneled den about 20 by 40. The kind of thing you'd find on the east end of Louisville, Kentucky, with a girl in the sleeping bags. It looks like a scene out of a camping trip to Denver. Incredible sort of thing. And here's this tree-shaded kind of everybody's idea of a good suburban house type thing sitting out there. And all these wild-looking motorcycles parked in front of it. So what you have to see in this, even though as a romantically inclined writer you don't want to see, is the basic aspiration toward middle-class decadence that this whole thing is. This is not a different business. It's really the last kind of episodes of where the fuck are we? We're in some kind of weird tunnel. I'll never get home. I have no money. Quarter per tank of gas. Can't even pay the goddamn bridge tolls. I don't know where the hell I am. I'm up somewhere in San Leandro. Let's cut this off and see what the hell we have, if anything. But I was talking to the Frisco Angels the other night about the wife swapping. Oh, you're fucked up. Killed my engine in the middle of town. Oh, first gear. Where are you? Yes. Here, the Frisco Angels told me the other night that they were going now for wife swapping. Kind of communal orgies. And I said, man, you people are getting like everybody else. You know, I thought the idea was to be different. And they got kind of huffy about it. They said they were doing it differently. And they explained somehow, and I didn't really see that it was that different. I didn't really want to pursue the thing and argue about it, but to me it sounded like the same, like they'd been reading the newspapers and found out how people were swapping wives out of Confidential or something like that, you know, and they wanted to do it. Apparently they have the business, this is the Frisco bunch, about going to some kind of a party situation, and everybody getting naked. It's not a key in their hat type thing. Everybody goes off by themselves in couples. It's a big fuck all in the middle of the room, which is very good, but like I say, it's like everybody else. And the Angels, with their lower class sort of orientation, managed to give it a wilder, kind of hairier sort of thing that it deserves, really. It's a manifestation of some kind of boredom and just general shittiness in life that, according to the myth, they don't suffer from. Given the motorcycle and the special identification they have, they don't need this kind of decadent kind of playing around with all the old value of things. But quite obviously they do. And there's some kind of fag walking in front of the car, giving me the fat eye. Should I ran over? No, we're gonna miss him. Yes. And so really, there goes the myth, you know, the bubble busted, the whole thing pricked. When the Hells Angels started wife swapping, then what's left? You know, it's like Robin Hood turning queer and saying, "Well, I like men." Yes. And what can you say, really? You see them on Monday or Tuesday, or whatever night it was. I get them out there swapping wives and. Mission District of San Francisco, and on Thursday tonight, I found him lounging around a pine panel den in San Leandro, and I suppose that they deserve some success in life, some material decency, but what the fuck is this? Also like to get the idea down about the odd combination within the Angels and all these cycle clubs of a definite kind of hoodlum, thug, lower class types and kind of bourgeois, middle class, upper middle class type outcasts, misfits. And these are the ones who really give it the tone and the imagination. They're in a minority, definitely. Terry's one. But the bulk of them are absolute straight-out, hard-nosed prole hipsters, or just proles, as Murray said. And they're the ones who really kind of touch off the reaction. Not touch it off, but they're geared to that sort of violent retaliation type thing. And if it weren't for this kind of this group of defectors from the middle class and from another strata of awareness, the Angels wouldn't have this. There'd be no mystique about them. There'd be no. They wouldn't have these kind of strange little flights of imagination that make them interesting. Like Terry's reading the Magic Christian and. Just a little thing like the emblem that took a lot of work, and there's a lot of imagination in it, but it comes from a very few people who were attracted to it from some other general area of society. The base of it is unquestionably the base of any other kind of hoodlum gang. It's lacking in imagination and. Is common sense and ambition and possibility, and they're limited in every way by environment, heredity. And if it weren't for this influx, small and kind of gradual, of outsiders from defectors,
and there wouldn't be anything called the Hells Angels. They'd just be called thugs, and they'd be content to be called thugs. They wouldn't care. But it's this other element that gives it the color and imagination and the kind of madness that makes it interesting. And these guys recognize it among themselves. Like when I went out to the house last night in San Leandro, the gathering there was definitely an in-group. What follows here is a conversation between me and Allen Ginsberg and 2 police officers after I'd been pulled over for whatever violations they could find, and they happened to find broken taillights. And you'll hear Ginsberg's voice and the kind of bass control thing, and mine jabbering, and the cop being a kind of high-pitched, very polite business. We'll see what it sounds like.
With this one here. Yeah. Evidently you've had an accident.
Evidently Mr. C had an accident. I've had the car about a week.
You've had the car about a week.
Yeah. He hadn't even cashed a check for it. I won't argue with you about it. I mean, you have me on a valid thing, so...
This gentleman with you, does he have identification?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. May I see it, please?
I think the funniest quote of the evening was, I was trying to get the cop, and that what follows here, to, I don't have it on tape, to say whether they were harassing Kesey or was it because of the Hells Angels or Kesey. He wouldn't answer. He knew I had the tape recorder. I told him. And finally, the silence was kind of embarrassing. We were all chuckling. And he finally asked, just break the silence, he asked Ginsberg how long it had taken him to grow his beard, very seriously, as if he had to say something intelligent. Ginsberg replied very solemnly, about 2 years. Mr. Ginsberg is one of about 3, well, pardon me. No line. I just, I thought I might say something. What follows here is all this noise. I'm going to have to run over it. A lot of noise of scraping the mic against my clothes. I told the police I wasn't taping, and then went ahead and taped, but I had to put the mic in my pocket, and I had to shift it around very awkwardly inside my hand, my sleeve, and since I don't know the machine that well, it created a lot of difficulty to get the rest of this conversation on tape. Has he been going out of the party?
Yes, there was 2 or 3 other cars that were stopped. Earlier I worked up in the other part of town.
And this area, since you've been here, did you talk to anybody except from the party?
Not that I know of. The 2 that I have stopped so far were from the party. I presume. I didn't ask them if they were or not.
Would I be liable for any violations if I went up there and asked a question? Oh, no, that isn't. I just saw when the lights came on there. That's oh, yeah, those are cars. Yeah, that's a big sign in front of it, isn't it? And would it make me liable in any way if I, my lights being on, if I went up there and asked you a few questions?
Not at 4 if you'd like to walk up there. I wouldn't advise driving right now because I'm writing out the citation.
Oh, no, I mean, after you finish. I would like to say if I want to drive back to San Francisco tonight.
Well,
would I be liable
actually,
again?
by law, the vehicle is supposed to be driven after the citation, either to the home or to a repair shop. By law.
Well,
but in
I'm
other
going
words,
to drive home tonight.
This isn't usual. Well, you're going to have to drive home.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
But, I mean, would I be liable again for other citations?
I would say so, but I doubt if you'd get another citation.
Well, just in your own mind. I mean, do you intend to... You see, if you tell me yes, I'll stay there,
Well, no. As far as I'm concerned, no.
But as far as you know, this gentleman up the road here is being held on some back warrant.
As far as I know, yes.
Who was it that went in?
I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I gave him $1 for beer. So that's another $1 it's going to cost me. I just spent $6 for beer.
I'd like to go.
Rather expensive.
Yeah? Well, I can write it off, thank God.
Traveling expenses?
Oh, just expenses, period. It's been a very interesting night, all things considered. Papers.
I don't know anything we were talking about.
Yeah. The papers this morning carry the notation that Kesey, with the exception of 4 people, is more or less off of these narcotics charges. And then on the same night, 12 hours later, you get this kind of business. Just for my own information, I can expect future citations if I don't get these lights repaired, right?
Definitely. Right.
I had no idea they were, it was a violation.
Well, let me explain this now, Mr. Thompson. If, in the event you should have an accident now, and this citation becomes known to the insurance company of the party who would possibly run into you, that this might be the case, the judgment could revert, and they could actually say it was your fault.
Well, what if I had a receipt for having it repaired in the meantime?
Well, then that's different.
Oh, no, I will have it repaired. I don't like citations any more than you would. If I thought I was liable in any way for a citation, I wouldn't have left the place. I thought I was completely safe. And you see what it was. It was a matter of 32nd of an inch in the switch there.
Well, that's something else too. That could be driving along and that pop off and you wouldn't even know it.
Well, I was in a hurry to leave because I saw you people take off after this other guy, and so I just jumped in the car and pulled on everything. Have a kid sleeping in the back there.
The other guy is taking Redwood City. What's in Redwood City?
It's called a jail. Yeah, don't wake him up. Can I help it?
That your boy?
Yeah. I expected to stop by here for about 30 minutes just to kind of see. I had never seen the Hells Angels together with a gun. I just sort of thought I'd stop and see what was happening, and I saw all these police cars, so I thought, well, hell, I better stay, because it's bound to be everybody's been waiting for some giant raid there. Actually, it's a total anticlimax for me, just getting a ticket for a broken light.
But where would they be taking in Redwood City if we wanted to check up?
It's the courthouse. Well, it's not the courthouse. It's the Hall of Justice is where the county jail is. 450 Bradford Street.
Would they be held overnight then?
No, there's a bond on the.
Well, would the passengers be held for the violation of the prior violation?
No. Just the person who has the outstanding warrant will be transported to Redwood City.
I wonder because they all left and they went that way.
Well, the car will be turned over to somebody else. Evidently, that's what's happened now. Somebody else has taken the car.
But they would have come back.
This gentleman now is en route to en route with one of our officers to Redwood City, and he'll be held on this bail. Now, on this warrant, now he can post bail. I have no idea what the amount of it was.
Could you find out, or do you have any idea which of the people, there were, I think, 3 or 4 in the car, was arrested?
You want to know which one?
Well,
yeah.
Because they're friends of his that would post bail for him. That's the least we can do.
2113, 2279.
Do you have any idea how the other...
Do you have the last name of the person who was taken down and how much the bail was?
Just a rough idea on the bill here.
Kramer, and it'll be $68.
Kramer. See, I didn't know any of them, so I don't know.
Firing.
Was it the driver?
It sounds like a traffic.
Well, in these cases, bail is roughly equivalent to the fine, right? So if you jump bail, you more or less pay the fine. Or is it? Am I wrong? Isn't
Yeah. Well, now the bail is going to be twice of what the original fine was.
Oh, yeah, twice?
This is, well, I presume. I don't know. I don't know what the violation was. It looks like that.
No, it's a different one. It was a gray job, wasn't it?
I believe so.
I wouldn't have left except that I saw him take off and I saw you people pull out so fast after him, and I thought that it was the traffic citation of it.
What you doing?
Right now I'm writing an article on the Hells Angels for Playboy magazine. It took me down as a correspondent for Playboy. That's who's going to pay the traffic ticket. I'm a roving West Coast correspondent for the National Observer. I'm really a freelance writer. From one week to the next I write for different people. The reason I'm here is because of the Hells Angels coming to Playboy.
That's back east, isn't it?
Chicago.
Do you mind if I ask you a question?
No.
How did you find the group?
There's a guy named Bernie Jarvis, who's a police reporter for the Chronicle.
Okay.
He's a former Hells Angel. And
Foreman.
yeah, and he's a perfect guy to talk to because he knows the story both from the Angels viewpoint and from the police viewpoint. So
Well, what was your reaction to the police? Did you find him as rowdy as some of the...
not nearly as rowdy as the press reports indicate. The reason they're rowdy, frankly, and this is my opinion, is because they get harassed to the point where they retaliate. And they're not cool enough to, like if you pulled me over and I'd been a Hell's Angel, just a kind of a guaranteed out-and-out thug, I'd have jumped up and begun to howl and hoot, and maybe even hit you with a chain or, sting on you. I've seen this happen. I've been with them now for about 3 months. And the more pressure is put on them, the more they retaliate. And the more people they attract.
Tonight was Saturday, August 7th. Now it's Sunday morning, August 8th, I suppose. Oh, shit. It's a long, dirty story, and I'm tired, and it's 5:30 in the morning, and just driven back from Casey's in that awful, evil, heavy Pacific fog. But, what it amounted to was that the police parked outside his place all night long, and teams of anywhere from 2 to 4 cars, and harassed, I don't mean harassed philosophically, they actually pulled people over and gave them like me, I ended up with a $25 ticket on this dead, taillight thing. Not dead, and my lights worked, but the red was broken, the yellow was showing, so that's an offense. But here Kesey had, in his classic cool manner, and put a sign on his gate saying the Merry Pranksters, that's his group. The Merry Pranksters welcome the Hells Angels. In great big letters, red, white, blue, the whole works. Thus informing the whole community that he had the Hells Angels for guests this weekend. And given the Hells Angels recent publicity, that's about the worst and most terrifying thing he could possibly have said. And on top of his arrest for the narcotic thing, here you had a bunch of rapists, dope addicts, head smashers, moral loonies, the whole works. No combination could have been worse for this. And I suspect really in Kesey's case that's what appealed to him, what made him do it. He has a real masochistic bent on all this thing. As far as I know, the party turned out pretty well. When Angel characterized it as being a damn good thing, they all dug Kesey immensely. And Pete Nell, one of them, was saying, tonight it's been ha-ha, not thump-thump. And that seemed to sum up their situation as of about 5 o'clock last night when I left. It's a quote I want to use in the book. About 8 miles down the road is a town called San Gregorio. Go down there to get some cheese and food, as I said. And the locals, and these being honest-to-God local foreign types and not the tourist resort people that are in Honda, were enraged at the thing about the Hells Angels in the gate. They were saying, the Hells Angels, and of course, yes, the police, we gotta get them, yes. The main topic of conversation at the bar was the fact that the Hells Angels had come to Kesey, who was bad enough in his own right, and then to have these monsters. I really kind of expected these people to go back to the rear of his general store and distribute axe handles among the populace and head up the road in a great truck to smash heads. But the highlight of the evening, in terms of any kind of illumination for what I want to do with this book, was the really high-powered gang fuck of this, supposedly, what somebody told me was one of Neil Cassidy's 2 wives. She was with Cassidy. She went through one great long session at this little house about 30 yards removed from Kesey's main house. And here are about 100 people around. The main situation, Kesey's situation, which, Kesey's speakers and statues and drums and wires and madness and sounds and little lights and all that. I think he has 5 acres there. But it was 30 yards away from the main house is a kind of a studio they used to use for an editing room for film. And here was this young lady out there fucking everyone. And it didn't make much of an impression on me because I'd read so much about it and heard so much about it. But, I didn't think much about it until either second or third time around. When I went out, I saw him somebody came and grabbed Neil Cassidy and said, "Hey man, let's go, come on." And Cassidy here's the hero of 3 novels. An literary figure, just blasted shitty out of his head with every kind of pot and pills and wine and beer and everything else. Behaving like a 16-year-old drunk. And his wife out being fucked by everyone in the world. And they dragged him out there for some perverse reason that I probably should explore. And so I figured, well, this is bad. But I felt responsible for having Casey bring these people down there. And so I thought I'd go along and, try to catch up and see that there was no brutal action there. Too much, really unbelievable sort of scene to really see. It's enough, very easy to hear about it, or to write about it, your imagination, but to see a woman down there on the floor like that, going for it in every way, and just out of her head and kind of talking to Neil. Apparently she had married at one point. There were two or three awful scenes there where she kept reaching up to kissing Cassidy, who was wandering around naked in the room while she was being fucked by everyone there. And it was just beyond belief, the pathetic kind of situation where she'd want to kiss her husband while she was being fucked by everybody in the world. People sitting on her face and the whole works. When I get that image of her lying here on the floor with her dress kind of a shift pulled up to around her rib cage, and kind of pubic hair kind of shining in the dim light, and people bending over and pulling on her, and one of them sticking his dick in her mouth, and the other one screwing her, and just a mad scene. And he stayed naked for about an hour, wandering around the party, stark naked, being kind of thrown down on her and to make him participate in it, which was really much worse. This is a night later. I'm going to tape over some of that business at the end of this tape because I want to get these things on there. What I should wrap is, let me get the general image later on in the party. I could stand out, have anybody having once been in that room and watching it, as I was about 6 feet away, could then from outside see through the door with the lights were on. There was a kind of a filmy curtain over the door, but you could see shadows moving around inside from as far away as the house. You could stand in front of the house, and if you knew what was happening, you could interpret the movements of all these shadowy figures behind this curtain. Silhouettes is what they were. And it was, in that way, kind of surrealistically horrifying. The image was ever present in the party, and luckily most people didn't know what was going on, but you could see people kneeling and jumping around and bending and getting up off of her and getting down on her, and other people holding her legs, and really too much. And the other note I wanted to get was that this romantic idea of these Hell's Angels of Outlaws can only, has to be counterbalanced with the terrible realities like this one. Because, they do have these things, and any woman going into it to think that she's going to have an innocent little flirtation or maybe a quick hump with one can very quickly find herself surrounded by 6 or 7 and with the public bounce on her there. But nonetheless, Kesey and a lot of other people have this romantic sort of idea, and when you find out, you find out very, it hurts when you find out. For instance, I don't want to mention any names, but there was somebody there who was suffering very heavily from this. And one he was saying what great swinging boys these Hell's Angels were. And at one point I saw one of them taking his wife off into the woods, or toward the shack actually. I don't know what happened to her. They were gone quite a while, and these guys don't take people off to talk about poetry and discuss various philosophical troubles.